I don't hear anything.
We had turned the audio off because there was just chatter in the room, but the meeting hasn't started yet. We're waiting
Okay.
for another board member.
Okay, good.
Lights are, I guess, make sure.
Oh,
Right. Or just make sure we're 5 minutes.
We know for sure Halloween is not permanently.
Yeah.
So we should count on it.
No, I mean, luckily no decisions need to be made tonight. This is just more of just a chance for, well, I guess. Open meetings, talking about it.
My feeling is you are okay. I'm okay with us going ahead because they're here.
Yeah.
And we should go ahead and have this discussion. Unless there's a legality issue. So, okay. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And the first thing is the agenda review. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, moving on. Privilege of the floor. 3 minutes. If you want to comment in the minutes, you should wait until we have the public hearing, right? We are going to have a public hearing, right? So if you'd like to make some comments, raise your hand. Hi, Ted.
Hi, you just said after the public hearing. Is there a public hearing tonight? It's not on the agenda.
No.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'll be pretty brief. I think this same subject, the same application that's on the agenda for tonight came up last week. I think it's a nice idea. I hope that the whole process is successful and that the final store is successful. I will note that within the last few weeks, I read a public comment made by one of the planning board members. I believe it was on Facebook, which said that he, or perhaps he was referring to the planning board in general, was doing everything it could to make sure that this project went through. And I don't know the legality of it, but I think that a comment like that is out of place. You have to treat every case equally, whether you like it or not. So, and making public statements of that kind probably isn't somebody is going to feel that they're not being favored if they don't get public statements like that. So just treat everything fairly and do it. That said, I hope this project goes through. Thanks.
Thank you, Ted. Anyone else? I don't see any hands. None in the audience. We can move on. I think we probably have to not do the approval of minutes until we have a quorum, so we will put that on hold for the next meeting. So town board liaison report. Leslie, do you have some words of wisdom for us?
Wow, this is a big crowd. Where's everybody tonight? Oh, I had my nights all mixed up too, so. Well, the town board is going to be doing interviews for vacant positions. We'll probably be deciding on the first meeting in December on who will be interviewing at the second meeting in December. The times, who's up here? Is it Scott? I think Scott's turn is, no. But I think Scott submitted an application, so. Starting with the second meeting in January, the town board's going to be meeting the first and third Mondays at 6 o'clock. We're going to give it a try, see what happens. And really the only other thing, big thing is that Greg is going to be working on some tweaks to the zoning, things that have been identified as needing to be tweaked. And hopefully you guys will give some input into those tweaks when they get quote.
Any questions or anything? No? Okay. So we're at the right.
Right, so as I was saying before, we had officially opened the meeting, that tonight, so just the only thing on the agenda is looking at the continuing site plan for Olivia Vent's property. Her plan is to convert an existing garage into a full-service market and cafe. The planning board reviewed the sketch plan at last month's meeting and provided some comments to her about just putting together a basic site plan. You know, this is one of these situations where it's an existing building, just being converted, there's no additions. The only real change to the site that's happening is a parking lot for 4 or 5 spaces being proposed in front of the building. And so since last month's meeting, and at kind of the discussion of the planning board and with my input, we identified that there were 2 areas in places that needed variances to make it all legally sound. One was to actually convert the building, which doesn't meet setbacks, into this new use. And that's one of the zoning tweaks that I'll be sort of cleaning up, is allowing existing structures to be rehabilitated without having to go get a variance for it. Just as a side note. And then the other variance that she is requesting is to allow the parking in front of the building. And so both of those variances will be heard at next week's Board of Zoning Appeals meetings. So tonight really, because of the timing with the planning board and the Board of Zoning Appeals, we couldn't, offer the board a chance to approve the site plan or review it at a public hearing, in advance of those variances. So, that can be planned for December, and with a hearing and all the notification procedures for that being sent out, as well as seeker, even though it has been identified as a type 2, I think it's just a good protocol to go through a resolution and identifying it as such. And what am I missing? So tonight really was a chance to just have Olivia come back, because with the Board of Zoning Appeals variance applications, she put together, and Crystal put together, some updated site plan documents with some landscaping on them, and I can show them on the screen too. Actually, why don't I do that? And even since then, there's been a couple of other things that she submitted. So I'll just first start with, I'm not on. What did we do? I need to log into the meeting. I should have done this before. 1 second. So I can just put them on the screen for the folks out in the Zoom land.
If you're planning to share the material that's on the website, I could share it for you. I've got it up.
Thanks, Ted. I'll do that.
Okay.
Appreciate that, though. Operating 2 computers is always a little bit of a funny task. So give me a couple seconds here. Now I need to admit myself. Greg can join. Okay, so let me, it's disabled participant sharing. So let me, this option. Um, 1 second, folks. Okay. All right, so, and Olivia and Crystal, feel free to, jump in here, but, just, so everyone out there, and if you can't see it on Zoom land, just chime in and let me know. But this is, what was submitted, and this is the existing building. This particular rendering doesn't show the lot lines on it, but it does show just the kind of concepts, going on, and it looks like we might have another board member here. And so this is the building right here being converted into a market with the existing driveway wrapping around with new parking to the south of it. And a couple of existing things shown, existing parking over here, existing vegetable garden. Anything else, Crystal or Olivia, do you want to note while we're on this rendering here?
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And some of the pictures that I brought in, like on the landscaping, the one with the fence.
Oh, here, can you actually?
You have it's something like this for this area. You'll see it also in the printouts of the Google Maps, that it would go run between sort of here and the spruce tree, and then very, these kinds of typical planters. You might do something creative, check with a friend who's a landscaper, but just to give you an idea, so when you look at this image, you kind of get a better visualization.
I'm going at a little bit of a pace here. We're just sharing things right now. But for everyone out there, this was what Olivia was just talking about, that some examples of types of fencing and landscaping. Actually, we can come back to that, but Olivia, you were talking about not necessarily the sign. But first, yeah.
Daniel Carpet would like a very prominent sign. He says it's kind of typical or similar to Lane's, like that size, I guess. But something along those dimensions, and then placed in such a way that you have landscaping in front and back. Also, so grasses.
So just some examples of landscaping here for the folks out there. What is being considered for?
Something to provide some kind of screening for people at the market, but at the same time, we have to eliminate what is there now and start with something fresh.
One that has color.
Yeah.
Variety of color and color, stuff that'll still have color.
Exactly.
Later in the season.
You see it.
Right.
And then the other thing, Olivia, so Olivia then submitted this. This was just a couple days ago, but I wanted to bring this. Just something with a little bit more dimensions. The north is to the right.
Yeah, it's the context of their relations with the parking and the adjacent houses. Good to know, and like that kind of boundary at the road, and I think it all. Yeah, I wouldn't comment.
I think the one-way Purple Drive makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, there will have to obviously be signage.
Yeah.
Right, and I think right now tenants tend to park in the drive. One of them is a firefighter, and he has his car always parked facing right out so he can jump in.
That's how you're supposed to do it, yeah.
So we would probably need to create some kind of signage here that says tenant parking only so that they have their spaces reserved. And also there's room for delivery to the back of the market.
Mhm.
One thing I thought about, where is the septic going? Because you're getting a new septic design, is that?
Just the design.
Okay.
The septic is right here in the.
Yeah, it's in this one too.
Okay.
And the field kind of goes out in these directions.
So that's, let me just stop sharing that and then go back to kind of jumping around a few different screens here. So again, just to remind the board here, and Ed, you just came in, but there's no decision on the docket for tonight because this proposal needs to gain a couple. Right, so next week is the Board of Zoning Appeals, the two variances, one for the reuse of the market that doesn't meet setbacks, reuse of the building, sorry, that doesn't meet setbacks, and one for the parking area to be located between the front of the facade and the street. So if those are granted, then the plan is to come back in December with a public hearing and then for planning board consideration for approval. So really the opportunity for tonight is for the board to provide any other comments or suggestions, anything that might help in these plans. You'll note on my memo, I did suggest that I think it would be good to show a dimension. My only comment was just from the edge of pavement to the new parking to just show what that dimension is. And I had suggested that it was a minimum of 20 feet, and that's just to allow proper stacking. So in case somebody's pulling in and somebody's backing out, that the person pulling in can cleanly get off the road and not obstruct anybody, bicyclist or vehicle in the road. So 20 feet is a sort of a standard car length.
I mean, the reason I changed it on the aerial view was because on the survey map, you'll see there's this really weird zigzag where the pavement, it's somehow, there's like one. Yeah, exactly. And so to measure, because I know you wanted to show the measurements, this kind of plane, you wanted to show more or less that from, the plane to the front of this building would be the same as the plane to the start of the parking. And so it was suggested that I use the white line on the road because that is straight across. Because if you're measuring it with the start of pavement is slightly different. I think on the in front of 1849 and as opposed to the other one. But it was about 25 feet. We calculated 25 feet, right, Greg? And I calculated about the same.
27.
25, 27 feet, yeah. It's a huge shoulder. And then you've got the big culvert too.
Where is that survey?
We can't figure it out.
So I think, right, so I think that jog in the survey actually, you know what, that's part of the
pointer and show us.
well, here, let me, it's actually part of a different, I'll pull it up. It's part of a different, let me, BZA.
I think it's easy enough to put in the measurements for the end of pavement to parking. It was just, I wanted to make sure it was totally consistent. So.
Does the designation of the road change? It doesn't, right? Cause like on here, it's, well, you can show, you're probably gonna show it.
So there's a question here about some sort of jog in a line. And, you know, it's hard for me to comment on because this is this is a survey done by a licensed surveyor. So we just take whatever they say. But I will say it is a little odd. So basically what we're looking at is this is my mouse is going a little bit at a slower pace, but this is the building being renovated. This X here, this old boundary is that between the time that this survey was taken and in the current day, Olivia actually had the lot line adjusted to, but it's be like 9 feet, so it still doesn't meet the 10-foot setback. But the question right now is,
It wasn't me, it was the previous.
oh, okay. So there's this,
When the Johansson's.
Oh, I
sold
see.
off the
A little bit of a
property,
jog.
Yes, we can.
It's weird because like that says highway line, but then when you get to the property, the continuation, there's no highway line designation.
yeah, so they're calling this triangle here is called a computed point. So it's not the actual property pin. You know, when you look on the tax records, it doesn't do this jog. So in my mind, I'm going off of what this property pin, which is this solid box here. But regardless, the front setbacks are not, or you know, nothing here is measured from the front property line. The front setbacks are measured from either the top of the ditch on the road, or if no ditch exists. Can't remember, does a ditch exist?
It's a very large, yeah.
It's a very large ditch. So the front setback is measured from the top of the ditch edge.
I measured all of those from the pavement and from the top of the ditch but I just thought it was most consistent to go from a line that was.
It's visible to people.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it's the white line. Everybody knows the white line, and it's not, you know, it's just consistent. Whereas, you know, where the ditch starts in front of 1849 as opposed to in front of 1843. It's a little bit wider in front of 1843.
You can't expect somebody to go like every couple feet, measure it, now it's this, now it's that, I mean, if anything, you're gonna measure.
I just didn't put it on that map because then it gets confused.
Right.
And you're like, why are you measuring from the end of the pavement, why are you measuring from the end of the ditch? You know, why from the white line, you know, it's like, but I'm happy to provide those dimensions.
If anything, it's from the widest point of the ditch or whatever. That happened to be the spot where you took it from, then that's what counts.
Right, but if you look at the survey map imposed on the area, see, there is actually that white line.
Yeah, no,
On the road, and that seemed to be like the most, consistent.
So I think, yeah, I see you, Ted, that, yeah, we're not up to, a lot of microphones in the room, but they don't always line up to whoever's talking. So I'll just kind of recap that. So right now, the setback for the parking area is being measured from the white line of the road, which is 27 feet, which is reasonable. I think because it does allow.
40 feet, it's 40 feet. It's 27.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong.
27 feet is, if you're parking here, you got 27 feet.
Okay.
To back up and go into.
And that shoulder is probably 10 feet wide. If anybody else on, you know, yeah, usually about 10 feet wide. So that's 30 feet. That's adequate distance for somebody to pull in safely off of the shoulder. If somebody's backing out of the spot, and just be, you know, waiting in line there, or, you know, in the queue. And it looks like that it is matching up with the house on this view. It's the house to the left. It's the house to the south. And so that kind of matches the intent in general of just having parking, you know, not being extending further in front of buildings. It's a little bit wonky because there's multiple primary uses on one lot, but and that's why they're seeking a variance, just to make it all whole, if the Board of Zoning Appeals agrees.
questions?
Yeah, do we need? Anything more than this next time? For our approval? Just so she knows what she needs to bring to us.
Right,
The
and
next meeting for the actual site plan approval.
right, and no, not necessarily, but if there is something that, you know, the board thinks would be, you know, good to show, that's why I had suggested, my one comment was just showing another dimension from the road, and so Olivia's showing that now on this plan, right here, so you can, you know, we'll submit that with the next, you know, we're just with all of these, so it's all available.
You want the end of pavement to the start of parking? That was your thing for both 1849 and for 1843 parking.
I think it's fine if you just submit it like this.
Because I can probably, you know.
But if you want to show it from edge of pavement, just,
Also, I can just, I don't know, write something down here that's important.
if you wanted to show the dimension from edge of pavement, I think that would be just, you know, just as fine.
I think the only other thing, just because you mentioned it with the pictures of the signage, I don't remember if we need to review the signage, but if we do, it would just be good to do it all at once.
Right, so it's a good comment. We found that, so this zone district does not allow freestanding signs. So it only allows wall signs, porch signs, and awning signs. One of my zoning tweaks is to, in the town board, you know, let me work on this a little bit, but it's just to build in hamlet scale freestanding signage.
Yeah, again, that was supposed to be a hamlet trying to draw in businesses. Businesses are gonna wanna be able to advertise where they're sitting, so.
And there might be,
And you have pre-existing before it rains across the street.
right, so when I
Yeah,
talked
we
to,
did that auto one, like, when was that, like a year or
Yeah.
so ago,
They
that's
said
just
no,
down
they're
the
gonna
road.
take it down.
Oh, maybe they just. I don't know,
You mean
if
where
it
they
took
have
down, they took
cars?
it down recently, yeah, the
Yeah.
cars parked in front of the house, and that was one of the first things I think we did when I joined.
Yeah, approved him building a sign.
when was that? Was that before the zoning ordinance? It might have been.
Yeah, it was before we changed the zoning.
I think,
Yeah.
somebody can correct me, but I think the intent was that there was a fear that if there was like a Dollar General, I'm just gonna call them out because they're coming everywhere. And they often have very cheap signs that communities don't like. And so just removing freestanding signs kind of just gets rid of that. But I think there's other ways to just build in sign regulations that don't allow those types of boxy signs. There's just ways to just create design regulations around signs. And yeah, I mean, you know, I think freestanding signs can just add a little bit of funkiness, and I think just some texture to a hamlet, and it can you know, just creates a little bit of a sense of place if they're done well. You know, maybe not something blinking and flashing and all that, but like I know the fire department down the road has one, and that's, you know, some people have commented about that they have this electronic sign that it creates images. So, you know, maybe not something like that, but something a little bit more folksy.
Actual.
Yeah.
The puns up on the sign, you know, every month, so change the pun or something. That's very close to being good.
Oh, just so you know, your mic isn't on.
On the property as well, actually.
Right.
There is also the town sign, Ted and I. What is it called? It's the town sign, Ted, right? Yeah, community sign. It's also on my property, 1839. So.
Well, I don't have any other comments. I think Olivia and Chris are addressing, you know, everything coming to the board, so.
So
There's nothing else I would need. I would say, if you came back after these days.
So something from parking lot signage, and dimensions from, start of pavement. Well, you don't want, are you sure you don't want it? I can even use for the second.
Sure.
I want to do what the planner wants.
You don't want to have to come back another time.
But that's another point, then what material would you like us to have, assuming that things go well, or hoping things go well at BZA, what would we need to bring in terms of materials then for the plan, the public hearing? Or will you have everything just on the screen sharing and everybody can see it? I mean, this is really great to see it up on the screen and so people in Zoom can see it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already have what we need, if you're just gonna add that dimension. And then do they, with the seeker, you mentioned seeker earlier, do they need to do anything on seeker or not?
So,
They've already submitted the short environmental form, and it's a type 2 action, so we're just gonna go through the necessary steps, just record it, and the board should review it. I think I sent that with the sketch plan application, the short environmental form, so but I'll remind the board to take a look at that, and then I'll draft up a resolution to for environmental significance. Yeah. So in terms of what to submit, I think the board has everything here, but if you want to send me an updated revision of this, then I'll get that out. And then we have all these images here. Images are always helpful with landscaping, just to give a little bit of an idea of what will be there. I can just sort of collate that all into a package, so we'll have that already. So
Lighting? Yeah, just for lighting.
Yeah, I talked to the electrician this evening because I think we definitely will want lighting. I mean, I don't know if there's lighting around the sign, whether that will be adequate for illuminating the entrance and exits. And so that's something I'm very concerned about. So he said it wouldn't be a problem running a line to having lampposts on either side. I have to figure out how to make sure that people don't run into them though when they're coming in and out of the drive. But that's something we want to do.
Steve Port, right, was over the other day, also just mentioned doing, figuring out maybe who would be responsible to put a street light there somewhere to kind of more clearly indicate, I guess elsewhere in Danby where there are street lights, there are intersections, and this is like sort of an intersection. But it's not clear whether that would be something that the town handles or we handle, or we have to sort that out.
So the question is that there's a street light, or is there a street light out there? No, but that maybe having some lighting for the entrance would be helpful. But the other comment is that probably talking to DOT. Looks like Ed might have a suggestion.
Yes, Ted.
Yes.
By coincidence, I received email advertising about the Black Friday sale at superleds.com or something. There's some very good low voltage or even freestanding solar powered landscaping lighting that's available. It's pretty inexpensive, and it might do the job for you. The only downside to it is that it's also easy to just yank out and take home with you. You might have a shrinkage problem, but it would do the job, light up your driveway.
We have dark sky.
that was the other
Here with you, don't we? I think we do for the
Yeah.
hamlet. So just check when you pick the light,
Oh, yeah, we
how
already-
the cutoffs and everything.
Well, also just out of respect for the tenants.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really concerned a little bit about cars coming, their headlights shining into the apartments. So some landscaping can mitigate some of that.
And your electrician could put on a timer too, if you were, like if you didn't want on. if you don't go with solar power. I don't know if you can program the solar power.
I mean, is solar really adequate in this climate? I mean, reliable enough, and that would be my concern.
Some of the lights have batteries for them too, so like, small batteries, that's enough to store for an LED bulb. However, then,
Some of it will just be experimentation, trial and error. Hopefully get it right. But right now, there will be 4 outdoor lights just around the building, 2 in the front. I found some really nice red ones, and they shine down, and then 2 at the back door. And the front door.
Anything else? Anybody see it? I don't see any hands over there.
The market is now a bright yellow, and, so you can see it when you drive by, and again, Steve Corbett was out the other day doing a, check-in, and, the paint color is called B, and he asked if we were going to then do kind of black trim to make it look a little bit bumblebee. So we just want you to know that, which suddenly delighted me, so if we end up having a very bumblebee looking market in the middle of Danby, that's useful.
That's because 3 of the people involved in the project are also.
That's true.
I was gonna say, that would
Yeah.
sell money.
No, not really. I guess, that is diagonal parking. Yeah, it just, I mean, I would like to see it just sized with the aisles so that we can see the side of the car, you know, how big are those aisles gonna be? It seems a little bit funky and maybe too big, even the entire space. I don't know, but I would just like to see it move out of those places.
It's drawn a little bit on the one with the colors, colors.
Yeah,
that I
I
found.
saw that.
But we could also probably draw that line slant, on the,
Aerial view.
yeah.
But it's 9 feet per parking space, and the 45 feet. Oh, yeah.
They're not drawn as well on that one, they're drawn better than the one with the colors.
Is there 4?
I think we did 5.
5,
We
you said,
didn't measure it.
No, 45 feet
45
and 9 feet per.
9 feet per, yeah,
Per width.
per space, and then like 20.1 feet per length, and a certain amount of space for the backup that is then in the driveway.
So this is when, did you push it back into the property, or is this the same extension? You know, this looks like it comes out further to the road.
It might come a little closer in this drawing.
Yeah. But then she goes maybe closer to the road.
Yeah, a little bit. So, actually, if you go onto the property, there's the tenants have their vegetable garden, and it more or less, you'll see a stake in the ground, and then it more or less follows to the end of their fence. So it's really easy to see.
Less, space behind to back out into.
So just to collate some comments, because I think, just taking Jamie's comment that, because this rendering does look a little different than the one with the 40-foot dimension. So if you can just put those together in a way, or even on that, whether it's on this one or on the other one, it might just be easy if you're playing around with it, to just add in the parking spaces on that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just be good to see.
Anything else? Okay. So should we go back now that we have a forum and do the minutes?
If people are gonna throw the stuff away, I'll just take it back. So, unless you want to keep it for the record right now.
I would suggest just keep everything, and then we don't need to have Olivia print things out, and but then I think so. The only things that are going to be new is just the you'll just show the Olivia, you'll just be updating this essentially. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So we should have has everyone read the minutes? Okay, so can I have a motion to accept them?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from October. Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes, we do that without, you have to do roll call,
Do
or,
you want to do a roll call or
I'll
just?
do the roll call, sure. Bergman,
yes,
who do we have here? Cowan? Oh, sugar, sorry. Sorry. Maher,
Yes.
Benucci? Yes. Scriver.
Yes, thank you.
Passes, yeah, sorry.
Okay. We're done, right? The motion is, oh, yeah, the motion to adjourn now.
Oh, yeah, oh, sure, yeah, let me give you a little planner report. So, biggest thing right now is what Leslie previewed at the beginning with her report is that, so we're just taking a look at the zoning ordinance, and there's a few kind of low-hanging fruits of things to tweak. One being sort of existing structures, just to allow them to be rehabilitated without having to go get a variance if they don't meet setbacks. There might be some things that aren't so clean in that. So once I start kind of going through the zoning law and just proposing text changes, other things might come to light of, well, maybe we should consider, a certain instance or otherwise. So there are a number of zoning tweaks. I'd be happy to send that out to the planning board. I submitted to the town board last night, so it's probably on the website if you wanted to take a look at it. So some of the larger kind of there are some larger topics for discussion in the zoning amendments, and those are going to be considered more in the new year. That the town, from what I understand, wants to start to update the comprehensive plan that was last updated in 2011. So it's usually towns updated between 5 and 10 years, so it is overdue. So that'll be a major undertaking, and some of these discussions to update the zoning ordinance, even though it was just updated, this kind of happens is you do a major update and then you find that there's these little things that just need to be a little bit massaged out. So I would, encourage you all to take a look on the town's website. It is online. That memo is posted online. And earlier today, kind of similar to the market being renovated or this building being renovated into a market, I went out earlier today to meet with somebody at 1429 Danby Road. That is on the corner of Muzzy and 96B. It's where a former motorcycle shop was, and then a bookstore was. And so the new potential leasee of the building wants to open a daycare center there. She has a successful group daycare home. It's out of her home on Ridgecrest Road here in Danby. It's called Owl's Nest School. So she's really excited. There's lots of need for daycare. She's been finding. It has to just constantly turn people away. So she's looking to just have a little bit of a bigger space. So there'll probably be some building code upgrades to do in order to meet building and fire and safety and all that. The reason why I'm telling the board is that she needs site plan approval. Even though she's not doing anything to the site, it's one of these, it's a similar example where she has to just get an approval from the planning board. There might not be much to show. Maybe some parking. I think with a daycare, you could think of a lot of people coming at the early morning or afternoon, so there might just be questions around that, as well as a play area, and there's going to be a fence, and just make sure the kids are safe. But there's a lot of regulation on daycares from what I learned today in terms of from the state. In fact, she had an inspector show up today, and So she was very much on it in terms of being in compliance. So if her plan is to submit for a kind of a sketch plan review in December. And then if everything, because she's not doing a lot of site work or really any site work, it's not going to be a big application, kind of like this application here. I think the biggest thing for Olivia's property is the parking. So for the daycare, she's not doing even any earthwork or anything like that. So a lot of the site plan requirements in the zoning law just might not be appropriate to be applying to somebody just looking to reoccupy a building. So I just want to preview the board with that, it could potentially be a sketch plan review in December, followed by a public hearing in January, to consider it for approval if everything goes well. And
Was it OCFS that came today?
yes,
I'm familiar with it.
it sounds like she is too. She was, so she's all about compliance. So depending on how much it might cost for the building upgrades, she'll be hopefully moving in the spring. So, and maybe with a grant from Cornell, she's hoping for one of those. But I want to let the board know that's coming. And it won't be a sort of a major review because it's just an existing building, but it is a requirement of the planning board approving.
So what, I would have a question whether if she's looking for a grant from Cornell, if it might be something that we could write something of support for. I mean, I have a daycare I go to do physical therapy, and they told me they have 160 kids on a waiting list for daycare, which is just beyond believability.
My thought off the top of my head is that because the planning board is the approving agency for this use, you could probably, maybe not, but maybe if the planning board were to approve it and the grant is still not out yet, because it hasn't even, the grant application hasn't even been posted yet. She was given a heads up about it and is getting things ready. So maybe that, we could talk more about that if the support letter would come.
After, if you approved it.
If
Yeah.
we approved it as a community saying we really need this.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So that's my plan and report. Just continuing to meet with property owners like that, answer inquiries, and I'll be starting to. The next couple months will be working pretty deeply into the zoning and just doing some little tweaks. So I think maybe if I'll send you all the memo, and then if you want to talk about anything, just contact me for them.
Okay.
That's that.
Sounds good.
Now we can have a motion to adjourn.
I think so.
We really
Thank
should.
you. Right?
I just called.
You don't even-
Okay.
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
I can do it.
Thanks all.
I used to think I you guys will have it, but when we started the rezone,